welcome to Simply Because Baking with Emily and Friends. My name is Emily and I don't have any friends with me today, so this is a hashtag solo bake, if you will. My friends couldn't get to me today because it snowed outside. It's officially December, it's December 1st, and so I decided to starting with the Christmas stuff. I think it's about time, right? For my extra thing today, going to be decorating the Christmas tree and going to be making ginger snaps. Specifically, the best old-fashioned ginger snap cookies from Heather Delaney Reese at itsalovelyllife.com. Time to get started. Something that I've been thinking about lately is what is the difference between ginger snaps and gingerbread cookies. That's one of those things that you hear used interchangeably, and I never truly understood what the difference was. So I did a little bit of research, and I found from ByronTalbot.com his article, The Way the Cookie Crumbles. He talked about the difference between the two. And so gingerbread cookies are an older fashioned cookie, whereas ginger snaps are a little bit on the newer end. But, you know, newer end as in the colonial area, as opposed to the 11th to 16th century that the gingerbread cookies come from. Gingerbread cookies are made with sugar and spices, whereas ginger snaps were made with molasses, which was a cheaper sugar substitute, because sugar was more expensive, I guess, in the colonial area. And then gingerbread cookies tend to have a shorter bake time, so they're a little bit softer and chewier, whereas ginger snaps are meant to be baked a little bit longer, hence the snap. And then, iconically, the gingerbread cookies are often rolled and cut into shapes like the lovely gingerbread man, whereas the ginger snap is a drop cookie. Now, I love the snap of a ginger snap. I love the crunchiness of it, and then I just love the sharp texture that the molasses brings. So I really wanted to do a ginger snap with this recipe. Okay, to start, it says to preheat the oven to 375 degrees. I've already got that going. And then we need to whisk together the dry ingredients, which is 4 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 tablespoon cinnamon, 1 teaspoon ginger, and 1 teaspoon of cloves. So let's go ahead and get that started. Okay, so now we can set this aside over here, I suppose. And then next it's beat the butter, sugar, and brown sugar with my hand on the mesa here. So it's 1.5 cups of butter softened, 1.5 cups of sugar, and 1/2 cup of brown sugar. then it's add the molasses and eggs. So I need a half cup of molasses and 2 eggs. But first I'm going to scrape everything down because that is important. So the reason that I usually take the time to scrape things down like that in between steps is that I found in the past, especially when making stuff like cookies, that I get to the end and I'm scooping them out and there's like whole chunks of butter that haven't actually been incorporated just because they got stuck somewhere and the mixer didn't reach it. So I usually just take the time to do that because that way you don't get the odd cookie that just spreads way more than any other cookie. And I figure it doesn't take that much time. So. And yeah, I always, pretty much always, crack my eggs into an extra bowl just because you can't always see the shells and nobody wants them to bite into a cookie with a shell in it. Pretty much is how I see it. And then mix those until they're well incorporated. Just because I know some of that molasses didn't make it into the batter, and then some of the butter and sugar mixture didn't get completely mixed in, and so just scrape everything off. Hold on, I need a better rubber scraper. Okay, this one ought to be a little bit more heavy duty. We're gonna go again. There was the butter and sugar mixture that just didn't get completely mixed in. Okay, and then it says slowly add the flour mixture until well combined. Yeah. Okay, so a little bit more scraping. Once again, all the scrape. Oh goodness, that's heavy this time. There we go. It's weird. I wasn't thinking about how hard it would be to find stuff to say and things to talk about when I'm on my own. I talk to myself all the time. Don't get me wrong. But since I've done this with a few people before, usually, like, I'm telling them what to do, I'm telling them the reasons why I'm doing it, but there's a person here for me to talk to. Whereas right now, I'm just talking to a camera. I'm home alone, talking to myself, baking cookies. Nothing weird about that, is there? So now we get to start scooping. So scoop out dough with a small cookie scoop and roll into 1-inch balls. Or I would say, a spoon works just as well. However, I've made a mess. However, this house came with a cookie scoop, so I'm going to use that. Because we gotta use it. Okay, how's that for nice and clean? So I'm going to scoop the cookies and then roll the cookies in sugar. That makes them nice and crisp on the outside. And then it says to place on the cookie sheet at least 1 inch apart. So, yeah, it'll happen. And then into the oven for 8 to 11 minutes. So I'll go ahead and start with 8 since my oven is definitely preheated, and then go from there. Also, short couple of side notes. She said in the recipe that if you do want softer cookies, you can go ahead and refrigerate them for about an hour before baking. But again, I wanted the snap, so I just put it straight in the oven. And then she says to cool on the cookie sheet for a minute before putting them onto a cooling rack to finish cooling. Should have ended that sentence on a down note. On a cooling rack to finish cooling. Hey, there's the first batch. Speaking of which, can you see? Oh, beautiful. Look at those circles. They might be a little bit close together, but we'll work with it. Look at that. Yumminess. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put them back in for 1 or 2 more minutes. 8, 9, 10, 11, yeah. We'll just go ahead and do 2 more minutes and then get the next ones in. And then whilst they are cooling, I get to decorate my Christmas tree. Okay, so based on this mess, I'd say let them cool for more than 1 minute. Give them more like 2 to 3 minutes on at the pan before you try and put them on the rack, because that's kind of a mess and very, very sad. letting them sit on the pan for more like 5 minutes definitely seemed to work a whole lot better, just to give them enough time to cool down so that they didn't become the mess that you saw earlier. It is time for the tasting. Shall we see? Alright, they're not at snap stage. I'm not sure what I would have needed to have done differently to get that, but they're definitely the harder kind of chewy that I like. And I think if I let them sit until tomorrow, they'll be great. So, hopefully this ends up being a nice short video. I had fun welcoming in the Christmas season. Got my tree decorated. Had some wonderful Christmassy flavored spiced cookies, I guess. I'm not sure why. Christmas cookies. Whatever. Still good. So yeah, I suppose that wraps up this video. If you have any tips, tricks, or suggestions, let me know. And happy baking! Actually, you know what? I'm not sure whether or not I like that ending. I feel like I should do something different. I'm guessing somebody else already does. Happy baking! So, I mean, do I do simply because in it? So do I do like, if you have any tips, tricks, or suggestions, please let me know. Wait. If you have any tips, tricks, or suggestions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. And in the meantime, keep on baking simply because. How do I want to word this? But in the meantime, keep on baking simply because. Okay, so let's see if I can remember how to say this. If you have any tips, tricks, or suggestions, please let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. And in the meantime, keep on baking simply because. Is that too long? It might be too long. Oh well.
Bye.